Hello guys, I will give you feedback in this presentation about my English Lab assignment of Unit 17. I included the exercises or the parts A, B, and C because the D was easy. I think you didn't have problems with that. And Google Form with the combination of Unit 17 and 18. Remember my recommendation. Have your answers to be compared with the feedback and study. Use these presentations to study for your exam. All right, I wish you the best in your exam. Please be prepared, analyze every single topic, analyze the presentations, analyze the copies you took while you were having classes. Check your book for the grammar notes and exercises. Okay, and be ready. I wish you the best. Okay, with this one that it was the first exercise uh, I put here this with the options. I am not going to put all of them, but just 3 or 2 of every exercise. And in this one, you had the options although and because. She didn't transfer money into the account. Patty overdrew her bank balance. You are telling the reason why she overdrew her balance. And it was because she didn't transfer money, right? Although, remember, is something that shows the contrast. And in this case, the contrast was not shown. In this one, if you remember what I told you, whereas and while were both used to show contrast as the same of although and though and even though, right? In this case, if you analyze the sentence, Henrietta hurt her left knee, she was jogging. It makes sense that someone hurts the knee while jogging, right? Jogging is like running, but a little bit slowly, right? So in this case, whereas is not possible because you're not showing contrast. So the only possibility was while, showing you the time. In this case, while is shown to express time or to describe the time. And this is the sentence or the kind of sentence when I told you that you have to analyze the context before answering, right? In this one, it's just the grammar rule of using only if at the beginning. Remember, when you use only if, that is a condition, subordinating conjunction, you have to make the inversion between the subject and the auxiliary. Instead of saying he will, is will he. These are the things that I always ask you to write in your notebook. Don't forget to analyze everything, the subordinating conjunctions used, the type of context to decide which one, because in the case of contrast, both were possible, or what they are asking you. Is a reason, is a contrast, is a condition. Analyze. I have another 3 from the second exercise, the exercise B. Here you had 3 options, if, now that, and although. Barry is in college. All right, if you analyze just the first one, the 3 of them are possible. If Barry is in college, now that Barry is in college, although Barry is in college, the 3 are possible, but when you analyze the result, he's begun to take responsibility for himself. In this case, his is the contraction of he has, not he is, right? Because you have the participle here. So he's begun to take responsibility. It's not a contrast when you are in college. Obviously, you take responsibility. It's the most common option, right, that you have. So although it's not possible, right, because it's not showing contrast. And if, only if it's a condition, but he begun, it's not a condition that will happen, but he begun is past tense. So in this case, now that is your only option, right? Now that Barry is in college, he's begun to take responsibility, right? He started in the past and he continues in the future. So in the number 5 of that exercise, rock climbing can be dangerous. Hiking is relatively safe. So safe and dangerous, if you see only those two words, they show contrast, right? So because it's for reason, now that is for condition or for reason too. But now we have the whereas as the use of their although, though, even though, while, and whereas is another option that you have for contrast. Okay, that's why I always tell you, you have to learn what are your subordinating conjunctions possible for each type of adverb clauses, right? If you, for example, if you forgot that whereas was for contrast, maybe because of the beginning where you could think that is for place, but it's not like that, right? And you could choose another two because you say, oh, this is for places, this and these two are not places. So that's the importance of learning the meaning, or not the meaning, but the subordinating conjunctions corresponding to each type of clause, right? Then the number 10. Sarah reviewed her plans for the day before she got out of bed, right? Now that she got out, no, because it already happened, right? And even if it's just to give emphasis to something, and this is not that important to have emphasis or that weird to have emphasis on it. So before she got out of bed, that was the correct answer. I really like this exercise C, part C, because you had the options in a box to complete or to join the sentences according of the expression in bold, right? That you had. You had the options of while, even though, before, wherever, as, and if. What were the steps that I told you? First of all, if you have a box with words, you have to know what they mean. All right, you have to know what they are used for. So while, okay, you say, okay, while is for time or for contrast. Keep that in mind. Even though for contrast. Before, time. Wherever, place. As could be time if you are saying in the moment that, or could be reason, right? Instead of because, or the same meaning of because. And if is your condition. Now that you have all the meanings in your head, try to analyze the bold expressions. And that's why I really like this exercise, because it says, the earthquake occurred, I was sleeping during this time. What time during the earthquake? At the same time. While is the only option when you have that to express what was happening at the same time, right? However, this is contrast. Remember when we write our essays, if we want to contrast our second paragraph with the first one, we normally use however, right? So in subordinating conjunctions, to say this however or to show this contrast, even though was your option, right? While could be, but if you already use it here, it's not an option, right? Even though. Afterward, maybe you thought, okay, here my possibility is after because it says after. But in this type of sentences, you have to analyze the context. We left. They arrived afterward. Afterward means after, right? After that situation. What situation? We left. So we left. They arrived. Okay, before they arrived. We left before, not after. They arrived after, right? So imagine, is the position what gives you the option of using before here. Now, in all the places, wherever, right? Like saying in all moments, in all times is whenever, right? So all places, wherever was your option. As, explaining, on account of this. This is the reason why we didn't invite Hillary. She always loses her temper. My reason here was as the only option. And here, I'll lend you the money. I'll lend it to you under this condition. Only the word condition can give you the if option, right? But you promise to pay it back. It's like, I'll lend you money. Imagine you don't have this bold expression. You know, only you have this sentence and this one. You can think on it if, right? Because I'll lend you money. You promise to pay. You cannot say as reason this one, right? It's the condition. Okay, so try to analyze the context all the time. And now I will go really fast with the Google Form activity that we have. This Google Form was a combination of Unit 17 that we saw in the practice of MyEnglishLab. Only the use of the subordinating conjunctions corresponding to each adverb clause, depending on the type of clause, right, you were showing. And the other one was the reduction of those adverb clauses into phrases or adverbial phrases when you took off the subordinating conjunction, right? So let's analyze here. He always did well on his English test. His parents were not surprised, right? Is the reason why they were not surprised? Since he always did well, right? Since. I'll let you know I come back. Because I come back? No, it doesn't make sense, right? After I come back. Enough time, I exercise every day. You are not contrasting because with time, you exercise. Yes or no, right? Yes. Enough time, I exercise is not contrast, so whereas is not possible. Is the condition that if you have time, you exercise. Okay, with this one, I will go swimming tomorrow. Because it's too cold? I mean, because it's too cold, you go swimming? No, right? You go swimming when it's hot, right? To calm. But in this case, because it's too cold, was not possible unless it is too cold. Remember the hidden meaning of unless. If not, right? Change it in your head. I will go swimming tomorrow if it is not too cold. You see? If you replace the unless in your head, you can see that unless was the option. There was the condition to go swimming. This one. I will post all urgent phone numbers on the refrigerator. Urgent numbers, I'll post them unless you have an emergency. Imagine if it's this one. Like saying if not, if you don't have an emergency, I will post the urgent number. No, right? Doesn't make sense. In this case, unless doesn't make sense. In case, condition, in the case you have an emergency, I will post the numbers here. And this one here, we start with the adverb clauses reduction into phrases, right? In this case, because you see while here at the beginning, they are adverb phrases, not adverbial, because when you keep the subordinating conjunction, they are not adverbial phrases. Find a sentence with the same meaning. While I was driving to work, I got stuck in traffic. First of all, I want to remind you, you can reduce your clause, because this is the adverb clause, right? This is the adverb clause using while showing time. While this was happening, this thing happened, right? The same moment. So when you keep, how you can know that you can reduce your adverb clauses into phrases if the subject of the two clauses is the same. Okay, in this case you have I and I, perfect. We can reduce it. While driven to work cannot be used. Driven, while driven, no, because it is not past tense. I mean, the expression is not the simple past. They are showing you something that was happening, right? So we need the ing. While driving to work, remember that to make this reduction, we omit the subject and the verb be, the form of be, wherever it is, right? I was is omitted. So you say, while driving to work, I got stuck, right? Okay, now what happened with these two sentences? What happened with these two? Only observing the beginning of them, we can see that these ones are adverb clauses because you kept the subordinating conjunction, but in this case you omit that subordinating conjunction. So these ones are adverbial phrases without the conjunction. But which one is the correct one? After she finished her classes, Dory went to work. These two activities were not happening or occurring in the same moment. So the ing in this case was possible only if you kept the conjunction, all right? Showing the past tense. With the conjunction, you show the past. After she finished her classes, Dory went. First of all, this one was not correct because this is another name, right? Doris is not Dory. So you have these two options. After finishing her classes, Dory went to work. After finishing her classes, Dory went to work. The after is showing you the past, so the past participle is not needed. We need the present participle with ing. After finishing, remember, after she finished her classes. Here we don't have the verb be. We don't have the verb be. So what we do to reduce our clause, we omit again the subject only if it's the same. In this case, it's the same because she is referring to Dory. Okay, we can do it. And what we do with the main verb, we put it with the present participle, ing, but keeping the conjunction. Don't forget that. Then you keep the ing, right? So after finishing her classes, Dory went to work. Okay, keep this after to show the past or the time, and transform the verb to the present participle with ing. But what happened with the next one? Right, we don't want to keep the after or the or before or the subordinating conjunction. We just want to show the past. The exam, they went to the party. Having finished, have finished, having finished. This one is not possible because you need or the ing or the ed, the present or the past participle. So this one, no possible. Okay, these two, finished, finished, perfect. Both are possible, both are correct, yes, but where you will keep the ing of the reduction? In the have. That is going to show you the past. So having finished the exam, they went to the party. All right, having finished. In somehow, some way, you have to keep the ing and show the past. In this one, you show the past or the time with the subordinating conjunction and you use the ing. In this one, you use the ing in the have, right? And then you use the past participle, having finished. Okay, and what happened with the last two? What happened? Here we are not showing after, we are not showing what happened in the same moment to use while doing or before having or after doing or having met, having done, right? No, we need to use in the moment that. So in case we have to use when, right? Remember that we have to use the same subject. So let's imagine that he says, when he read about the job, he immediately prepared his resume. And then we have to make that reduction. In adverb clauses, in adverb phrases, we cannot use when to make the reduction. So when reading, it's not possible. We cannot do it. And how we do it? We replace the when with upon or on, not in. All right? So in was not possible. Remember, learn that. In the case that you're showing, in the moment that something happened, in the moment that this something happened, my obvious answer is when, yes, but we cannot use it in phrases. So we replace the when with upon or on. And the same word, you see the on, right? To have a clue. Upon reading, on reading about the job, he immediately prepared her resume. In that moment that something happened. And in this one is the when you receive the action, you are not doing the action, right? Is the passive. You are not doing, you are receiving. So the correct formula, my dad had difficulties preparing the experiment. He was having difficulties at the beginning. Then someone told him the formula, the correct formula, right? And then, so after that, he stopped with the difficulties, right? So we say, the correct formula, my dad had difficulties. After being told, he had difficulties? No, right? The difficulties were before. Before being told. Someone told him. Someone told him. Before telling? No, because if you say before telling means that he's doing something. He is doing something, and it's not the case. He's receiving the action, right? Before being told. And after being told doesn't make sense because after being told he kept the difficulties. No, right? My dad had before being told the correct formula.